All right. Welcome, everyone. The Focused Investor Part 1. We'll be doing Part 2 January 4th. This is the 18th year that I've led the Focused Investor goal setting and wrapping up the year session and all this stuff. You know, it's in the early years, many years ago, 18 years ago, I would present it to a room at our live events. And the first one, we had a big crowd of 2 people, and that we were getting the business started. So now we have a lot more. We have over 71,000 members now at RealWealth. It blows my mind. Super grateful for that. So I'm excited for this. I'm going to move into this. I'm going to turn my camera off. We're going to go into really focused on you. This is all about wrapping up your year. It's about, you're going to walk away from today with a one-pager, maybe more than one page, with everything about wrapping up your 2023, the year of 2023, what you learned, how you grew, what's next for you. You can take a lot of these lessons from the last year and carry them over into 2024 and beyond. So when we meet January 4th, hopefully you're going to be there at noon Pacific time on January 4th, then we look at Part 2. That's all about where you want to go. And we'll be using a lot of the lessons from this past year and before that carry forward, that's going to make your 2024 even better. Your best year yet is my goal. So I'm going to turn my camera off here and we'll dive right into this. So hopefully you have something to write with, you have some paper, you have a pen, you have your laptop open, whatever, you're ready to go. Let's do this. Here we go. Okay, so again, you might want to jot that down. Thursday, January 4th, we'll be doing Part 2 of this. This is Part 1, all about completing your year. And I'll remind you about Part 2 at the end of today's webinar, just in case. But let's dive right in. As always, we start with a disclaimer. This one's a little different. The strategies mentioned in this presentation may not be appropriate for everyone. These strategies are only appropriate if you have a strong desire to grow, improve, and be a more focused investor. Your past performance is no guarantee of future results. While every effort is made to design and create a life of abundance and happiness, the possibility of challenges, mess-ups, and failures always exists. However, I believe that you don't want to settle for a lame, boring life. You want to kick ass and get the most out of life. That's why you're here. So let's do this. You know, Kathy and I live in Malibu, California. There is a lot of wealth here. There's a lot of money here. But, you know, this is it. Some people are so poor, all they have is money. Some people around here have a lot of money. They're stoked. They're making a difference in the world. They have great relationships. They have great health. Things are really working. Some people have a lot of money, but they act so poor because they don't have that. They have the money, but they don't have the freedom of time. They don't have the relationships. They haven't invested into these things that are so important. So we're going to take a look at that. You know, at Real Wealth, what we're all about. Real Wealth is about having the money and the freedom to live life on your own terms. That's been our stake in the ground since 2003. It's important to us. It's our purpose. It's what we're all about. It's what we help people do. So think about that for you just before we dive in here, because this is obviously about making more money, having that money and freedom. But that's real wealth to us. What is real wealth to you? I want you to just take a moment here, just a few seconds, to just think about what is real wealth to you. Maybe it's more time with your family. Maybe it's that awesome house that you've been dreaming of living in. Maybe it's giving back, like these guys working for maybe Habitat for Humanity, building homes for others, or however you like to give back. Whatever it is for you, maybe it's having the time to be able to really be healthy and take care of your fitness. Maybe it's all of that. That's what it is for me. Real wealth for me is holistic. It's all areas of life working. So we're going to take a look at that today as we go through this, not only today, but when we do the year intentions in January. It's all going to be focused about what real wealth is for you and how you can have more of it in 2024 and into the future. And so I'm going to ask you as we go through this to be open-minded. An open mind collects more riches than an open purse. So let's be open-minded as you go through this. I might be a little bit passionate here. I might call you out on some things or call some people out. because I'm so passionate about this. I don't want this to be you, okay? You got to get your head out of your buttocks and make sure you're being aware, being focused, really looking at how you can grow, how you can learn from this past year, what it meant to you, and how you can take those lessons and carry them forward. So let me share my goal for today as we wrap up 2023. For today's webinar, my goal is to help you gain clarity, awareness, and for you to learn from the past year of your life. Learn is underlined there. So you can experience even more fulfillment and real wealth in 2024 and beyond. You know, that's the goal, that's the intention. And because here's the problem. The problem is that life is busy. We all get so busy and life seems busier and busier. Here I'm coming up in 2 months, I'm turning 60 and life seems to be speeding up, going faster and faster. And what happens is we often put off what really matters. And what I mean by really matters is sometimes it's our family, sometimes it's our self-care, sometimes it's taking the time to step back and look at how is our life going? What's working? What's not? Are we becoming a better version of ourselves? The Stoics talked about this 2,000 years ago, and it still rings true today. It's about moving toward what you want, becoming a better version of yourself, giving back, making a difference in the world, loving the people that you're with. And what happens is we often don't realize what really matters until it's too late. And you probably know that many years ago, the reason this business started, Real Wealth, was because I was told that I had 6 months to live. It was a false diagnosis, luckily, but for 3 months, I didn't know if I was going to survive this cancer. And luckily I did. That's why I'm still here today. But that was the impetus for Kathy to say, what am I going to do here to make an income? Because I was a sole breadwinner back there. So often we do this. We put off. We don't realize what really matters until it's too late. So I don't want that to be you. I don't want it to be too late for you to say, oh man, I wish I had. Okay, just memento mori, the Stoics would say, remember that you will die. Okay, so, you know, thanks to Yoda for this one, what you focus on becomes your reality. So we're going to take a focus on what matters most to you today, from wealth to health, to family, to fitness, to everything, your finances, on all that stuff. So why do a year-end completion? I've done this with my clients. I was a coach for many, many years. I started coaching in 1996 after I'd been with Kathy for about a year. Went through coach training certification and coached a lot of clients over 10 years before we started the business, almost 10 years. And one thing I did with all my clients was this year-end completion because it's so powerful for your learning and your own growth, for making your life even better. So why do it? Because it allows you to pause and reflect, to just take a moment, to take this hour together for you to just slow down and pause and reflect on the year that just passed. And from that, you learn how to be happier. We'll go into that in a little bit, why you become happier from doing this process. And then each year you become better. Each year you get a little bit better because you learn about what worked, what didn't, how have you gotten better, where are you now? And as the most important measurement is that you're better now than you used to be, just a little bit. And that's what we're all about as human beings. When we get better, when we're moving toward our goals, that creates more happiness. That's just research backed, scientifically proven. That's what we need as humans. It's built into us. We're teleological beings. Telos meaning we need a target, something to focus on. And as we keep moving toward that, our brain loves that when we're getting better and moving toward our goals. So it comes down to this. When we get better, everything gets better. When you get better, everything around you gets better. And so I mentioned me coaching people for many, many years. This is the process that I would go through with all of my clients. And it's a simple 4-step process. You know, it's the basic process. All of my clients had different goals, different intentions and everything, but the process is the same for coaching. It starts with envisioning up in that top left part of the arrows, envisioning where you want to go. That's what we're going to do on January 4th when we look at envisioning your future. We're going to look way into the future of where you want to be, and we're going to bring it back to envisioning 2024. That's not what we're doing today. You're also going to do some strategizing in that session, January 4th. Today, we're in that orange area. arrow. We're in observing, looking back at what worked, what didn't. So that way you're going to carry that over into envisioning the next year and the future. You're going to come up with a strategy and a game plan for how to implement it and bring it in that way. All right, so I mentioned how it can make us happier. So when you look back, when we're grateful, when we focus on gratefulness, that removes anxiety, it removes fear. Gratefulness is the key to overcoming any type of anxiety or fear. And when you look back at what's working and you are grateful for things and you look at the year that just passed, it releases dopamine, that neurotransmitter that just, it's the feel good. It makes us feel good. It's why we do cold plunges and crazy stuff like that. It's why when you work out hard, you feel great afterwards. You get that dopamine release. So you're going to get the same thing today without having to go on a cold plunge or do a workout. So pretty cool. And we also are going to connect with some neuroplasticity. You're probably familiar with this term. It's been, I've been sharing this for 18 years in this program, and now it's becoming much more popular and understood. Neuroplasticity is this understanding that the human brain is not static. It can continue to change and get better and build and all the way into old age. So it comes down to Hebb's law. Hebb's law is that neurons that fire together wire together. So as we look at these different things, and we look at gratefulness, we look at goals, we do what we say we're going to do, it lays down new neural pathways that strengthen our brain. And when those neurons fire together, they wire together and they make it stronger. So it increases your self-discipline, increases your willpower, increases your knowledge. It's just the same, like I've been trying to learn piano for the last 12 years, and it's getting better and better. But every time I sit down and I play a new song, my brain's going to work on it. It's really hard in the beginning, but the more I work on it, the more I lay down those neural pathways, the easier it gets. And it's just amazing to watch that process happen. So the same thing happens with us, with our goals, no matter what those goals are. Okay, so with that said, let's dive right into this. Get ready to do some writing, some journaling, so you can walk away with this 1 or 2 pager of your year 2023. So let's start with this. Looking back at this last year, what was the best thing that happened in your life in 2023? Take a moment to think about that. What was the best thing that happened in your life this past year? And write that down. And you might even want to write down something like the best thing that happened in my life in 2023 was, just so you know what that means. Okay, hopefully you got something good and you feel that little dopamine hit or a big dopamine hit. Awesome, love that. Now, continuing to look back at 2023, what else happened this past year that you're really grateful for? Write a list down, maybe a bullet list of what are the awesome things that happened in 2023. Did you make some great investments? Did you go on an awesome vacation? Did you get a new granddaughter like Kathy and I got? That's a highlight for me. Man, I'm getting choked up just thinking about it. What else happened in your 2023 that you're most grateful for? Whew, that was a good dopamine hit, thinking about Mia. And what successes and wins did you experience? What were those big successes that you had this last year? What were your big wins? I hope you're writing away. I hope you got a whole bunch of good stuff from this last year. Let's take another 30 seconds to keep writing anything that comes up for you. And again, you can come back to this later. One thing I like to do is look back on my calendar, look if I've put anything on my calendar. And I also do a weekly sheet that I send to my coach. I call it my self-coaching form, and I put my successes and wins on that. Sometimes I'll go through that and highlight the big ones. And Kathy and I do this with our family every single year. I used to do it with my coaching clients, and then I started to say, hey, we should do this as a family. And so we do it with our daughters, even when they were little tiny things. And it's just a really cool process to do with your family. Last year, we just played this webinar replay back, and we all sat around our big table and went through it because I hadn't done it myself. And we just kind of went through this webinar replay and did the same thing. And it's just super cool to share with your family, with your loved ones. Really powerful exercise. Okay, hopefully you got some really good stuff there. Again, you can continue that list later. Let's continue looking back at 2023. Since we're Real Wealth, right? How did you improve your wealth this year? I'm talking about financial wealth here this time. How did you improve your wealth this year? Are you in a better place because of 2023 now than you were at the beginning of the year? Did you acquire some investment properties? Did you invest in some syndications? Did you grow your stock portfolio? Did you improve things taxes wise? You pay less taxes somehow from learning? And how about your financial freedom? Are you in a better place now with your financial freedom than you were at the start of 2023? If you did the Focused Investor webinar at the beginning of 2023, back in January, you set some goals, you set some intentions, you set a personal quality, a whole bunch of good stuff in that. And you set something around financial freedom. So did that accomplish? Did you accomplish that? Let's talk about financial freedom. So what I mean by financial freedom is fairly simple. It just means often in the beginning, when we start off, we're often cash flow negative. We're not making enough money to have the lifestyle we want. A lot of times putting things on credit cards, living paycheck to paycheck. Then we get to a place, hopefully, that you get to cash flow neutral, where you're making as much money as you're spending. You're getting more astute, you're becoming a wiser investor. Then you get to a place, hopefully, that you get cash flow positive, where you are making more than you're spending, you're controlling your spending, you're sticking to a good spending plan, and you have more cash coming in. And then often what people do, wealthy people do, is they'll take that extra cash flow and they'll invest it. They'll have their money make money, and then they go into the fourth category, which is getting to financial freedom. And that is where you have enough positive cash flow, usually passive, usually from your investments, that you don't have to work, you're job optional, and you have financial freedom. You have enough passive income coming in. Maybe it's a cash flowing business that you've built. Maybe it's your portfolio. Usually it's a combination of everything, but you get to a place where you have financial freedom, where you can take months off without working. You can go and travel, do whatever you want, and you have that freedom. So that's what I mean by financial freedom. Now stepping back and looking back into 2023, who really gave to you or helped you this past year? Think about that. Who is that one person, or maybe a few people who just really made a difference in your life? And write their names down. How did they help you grow, learn? Maybe it's someone on your wealth building team. I know our tax attorney was amazing this last year for us, helping us out, guiding us in a good direction. Of course, Kathy always comes up for me on this one, but so take a look at whoever it is for you. And you got that one person or a few people written down, hopefully some names. And now, what can you do to thank them? So often we get that support from other people and they don't even know it. They don't even know that they made a difference in our lives. So what is it that you can do to acknowledge these people, to thank them, to really give them that heartfelt acknowledgement? It could be a call, it could just be letting them know, it could be sending them something, a card, a letter, a text, anything. So what can you do to thank them? Please write that down, and please do that. Definitely by the end of this week, maybe by the end of today. Reach out and thank those people. And you will notice that you will get that dopamine hit just from doing that. and they will also get the same dopamine. Actually, what they're going to get is oxytocin release. Oxytocin, another neurotransmitter in your brain that is the feel good. It's kind of like they call it the hugging neurotransmitter. It makes you feel lovable and all that stuff. And it's like, say like you watch your kid graduate from high school or college and you're just feeling so proud and you just have this feeling inside where it gets choked you up. That's oxytocin being released. We're a very interesting mechanism, the human body. Okay, so hopefully you got that down. You got the people who've helped you, and you have what you're going to do to thank them, and you're going to follow through on that. Now let's take a look at rituals, those helpful habits, the things that you do on a regular basis that really help you move ahead, that help you get better and improve your health, your wealth, your happiness. So what rituals did you put in place this past year? What did you develop that has actually become a habit? Go ahead and write that down. If you did Focused Investor last year, the beginning of the year, we talked about what rituals or habits will you put in place in 2023. So hopefully you took action on that. You started small, you put those rituals in place, and you're healthier, wealthier, or wiser, or all of the above now because of that. Okay, and then looking back, what habits did you shed? What habits did you break? Those bad habits, if you want to call it that, things that you were doing that were not good for your health, wealth, or happiness. What's a habit that you shed this past year? And there are some photos with some cues that I just love. Did you break a habit that was bad for your health or your mental health, like doom scrolling or any of that? Maybe it was a nutrition thing. Maybe it was being lazy, staying up too late. Anyway, what habits did you shed this past year? And please write that down. Habit that I got rid of this past year was habits, all this, rituals, they are absolutely vital. One of my favorite books, Atomic Habits, covers this well. It's now one of the best-selling books 2 years in a row at the top of the New York Times bestseller list. Talks about the power of habits. And this is the bottom line on habits. Your wealth is a reflection of your daily habits. It's just the way it is. Your body weight is a direct reflection of your daily habits. Your mood is a reflection of your daily habits. How you eat, how you sleep, how you exercise, all that. That's the bottom line. What you pay attention to becomes your life. So what have you been paying attention to in 2023? Hopefully it's those good things that make you healthier, wealthier, and wiser. So now let's look into the whole 2023. What was that theme? If you were to look back on this year, 2023, if they were going to make a movie or write a book about your life, or if you were going to write a book about your life in the year 2023, what would the title be? What was the theme of your 2023 overall? See, the cool thing about having this and knowing this is you can have this and keep these sheets that you're creating right here. If you've been doing the Focused Investor webinar, which I know some people have reached out to me, done it every year for the last 18 years. I've been doing this longer than that. I have a file on my computer now that has all of my past year completions and year creation forms. So I can go back to 1997 and I can bring it up and look at what was my theme of that year. And it instantly brings it back. And honestly, what it does is it has your life feel like a life well lived. It really gives you, it's almost like, when you look back on your life and you think, oh, this is when I moved here. And then it's like a new chapter in your life. So each year is a chapter. And that's the cool thing about having a theme. Number one, setting an intention and a theme for your year. We're going to do that in 2024. at part 2 of this, we're going to set a theme. What do you want the theme to be for 2024? Spoiler alert. But also looking back. So the theme that you set in 2023 at the beginning of the year, was that actually the theme? Is that the way it turned out? Sometimes yes, sometimes no. Sometimes we have those challenges. Sometimes we have to deal with those challenges, like this little boy, poor guy. Sometimes you just don't have an excuse. Sometimes challenges happen. You know, we got hit with some challenges in 2020 as a full society, as a world that we weren't expecting. So the theme turned out different for a lot of people than we expected. But that's just the way it is. You know, we're going to have those challenges, but it's about being anti-fragile, as that great book says. Being anti-fragile meaning the more life kicks you around, the stronger you get. Niels Bohr, who got the Nobel Prize in Physics back in 1922, said an expert is someone who has made all the mistakes which can be made in a narrow field. So mistake, mistake, mistake. You know, if it's real estate investing, you might have screwed up. I know Kathy and I have had our screw ups, and we learn from those screw ups. We are better investors today than we were last year, the year before that, the decade before that. Okay, so let's look back at your challenges. In 2023, looking back, what were your biggest challenges this past year? Write those down. Say, my biggest challenges in 2023 were, and there's a reason we're looking at this. What were your biggest challenges, lessons, losses in 2023? Go ahead, write that down. Just take another 10 seconds, write down any challenges, failures, getting screwed over, whatever it might be. And I'm sure you could guess the next part here. What did you learn from those challenges? What did you learn from each of those challenges? Right next to the challenge, write down, I learned, and put your lesson down. Because then you can carry that lesson over to do things differently in 2024 and beyond. A few more seconds to write down what you learned from each of those challenges, capturing this. Okay. Moving forward here, as we look back, looking back, what personal quality did you most develop this last year? Another one that we asked, what's the personal quality that you want to develop in the year? We did that last year. What personal quality did you actually most develop? And write that down. Say the personal quality I most developed this last year was, and there's a couple little examples. Maybe you developed your courage by taking more risks, doing things scary, taking a risk a day. Maybe you developed your authenticity, just showing up, being more you, being more transparent. Maybe it was integrity, making that commitment to do everything with full integrity. And when you do that, your integrity gets stronger. I know, I speak from personal experience. I challenged myself one year with that one. Okay, hopefully you've got your personal quality written down that you most developed this year. And again, this is so you can look back on this in 6 months and a year and 5 years and say, oh, that was the year where I really made a shift here. It's a really powerful exercise. I know when I've gone back to look at these, I remember that year when I focused on doing everything with 100% integrity. It was a long time ago, and it really, I think it changed my neural makeup. It just really made me commit to 100% integrity in everything. Okay, hopefully you got that down. You got your personal quality. Nice work on that. So coming back, so we've gone through this, we're observing, we're really looking at where you are now from this process. So If you've done this webinar before, and maybe you've done this with, maybe you have your own coach or you've been through this before, but this is the life wheel. This is the life wheel that I've created. There's all different variations out there. I've been doing this since 1996 using this life wheel. It was in my book, Extreme Success, back in 2002. It's a really powerful tool to get a snapshot of where you are. You can see the URLs right there. If you want to do it like a live one that just kind of populates automatically, you can go to realwealth.com/grow, and you can create a life wheel there if you scroll down on that page, or you can go to fettke.com/extreme-success. You can go to either one of those if you want to, or you can just sketch this out on your own. You can just grab a blank piece of paper, draw a circle, and then divide it up like a pizza. And so you've got those 10 wedges. Okay. So the one on fettke.com is a PDF that you can download and you can print if you want to write on that. The one at realwealth.com is the one that is whatever you call it. You can enter things in and it builds it out in front of you and creates a life wheel. Okay, or you've got it written down. So let's dive right in on how to use this. This is a way to get your level of satisfaction where you are right now in your life, how you're feeling about these 10 major areas of your life. So you can get a snapshot of what is working, what needs improvement, what you're going to focus on in 2024. And the way it works is you start putting a number in this. So for example, career. So you'd say, you know, right now my career is going pretty good. I'm gonna give it about a 7. From 0 to a 10, it's about a 7. Finances are a 5. You go around and you put a number in each of these little wedges here of how satisfied you are with these different areas of your life. So let me give you a little bit of time to think about that and go around and just initial reaction. You can come back and do this again later. But just for now, this should only take you maybe a minute tops. Just go around and say, let me give you an example for say significant and other in romance. Some people get stuck on that. They might be in a relationship and they're not very satisfied with it and they would give it a 3. Or they might be in a relationship and it's going great. They might give it an 8, a 9. Say they're not in a relationship and they're totally cool with that. It's like, I'm good. I don't need a relationship right now. I'm satisfied. They might give it a 9, or they might be really frustrated. They might want that and they might give it a 2. So same with all these different areas. Physical environment, possessions, that would be like your home, the things you own, those tangible things, your car, the cleanliness and orderliness of your home, of your car, whatever it might be. How satisfied are you with the things in your life, the stuff? Health and fitness is kind of an overall. Some people will divide that, draw a line right down the middle of it to be like a health category and a fitness category. Some people are not as fit as they want to be, but they're feeling really healthy. But whatever detail you want to put into that. Okay. So sorry to push you through this, but we do have a time limit here. I want to wrap up by the top of the hour. So hopefully you've got this all filled out. And then once you get your numbers in there, then go around and just put a line for each number corresponding to that. So if it's about a 5, like there on finances, you would draw a line for 5. I don't know how to make curved lines on a computer. I know how to draw straight lines. So I would do a curved line. When I do this by hand, I would just like the outer edge, I would do a curved line at 5 for finances, a curved line for 7 for that. This is not my numbers right now. Thankfully, they're a lot higher than this. They haven't always been that way. But what that does is it gives you a new outer edge, and you can really see if this were a wheel, you can really look and say, well, how bumpy would the ride really be if this were an actual wheel? And so this person's life wheel would be fairly smooth. They would have a big pothole at 5 on finances, 5 on fun, recreation, and self-care. So what this does is it allows you to step back and say, this is my life. This is how satisfied I am with my life. I don't care what anyone else thinks. This is the way I feel. This is how satisfied I am, the different areas of my life. And then it allows you to set some goals and intentions from this. So if your finances is a 5, then you can think about, what would it be like if this were an 8? What would be different? For you to say finances in an 8, if you were a 5, what would that look like? And you can write a couple things right next to the word finances. You could say, like, my net worth would be this, my monthly cash flow would be this, or I would have less debt, and the amount, not just less debt, but I would have no debt or something, no recurring debt. You want that good debt, right? And so you'll bring this into your intentions and goal setting for 2024. When we look at that on January 4th, we'll take a look at that, and you can use your life wheel to set some intentions, especially from some of the areas that need attention. I know you can't have a balanced life. They're always balancing, it's constant fluid and moving and things like that. You shift your attention to one area and another area starts to drop a little bit. Not always, but sometimes. But you definitely want to take a look at those areas where you're really not satisfied and think about, what could I do to get this from a 5 to a 6 or from a 5 to a 7? You don't have to make the huge leap, but it allows you to really get an idea of where you are now and where you want to be. Okay, so that's the life wheel. Another assessment that can be really valuable that we created several years ago is the Real Wealth Assessment. As I said earlier today, our purpose is helping people create real wealth. That's been our purpose since day one, having the money and the freedom to live life on your own terms. And we see it as a very holistic approach. We love helping people get better. Kathy and I are both certified coaches. We started with coaching. And then when we started Real Wealth and helping people financially, we wanted to carry that over and help them in all areas of their life, especially on the financial freedom side of things. So the Real Wealth Assessment is our way as a team at Real Wealth, our whole team, is us to be able to measure, are we really helping people and how much are we really helping people? And what it does for you when you fill out this assessment, it gives you a real wealth score. So you'll fill out 20 questions that ask you everything from your current financial status, where you are, how satisfied you are with these different things around your finances, but it also asks you some of those things like on the life wheel, like, do you have that freedom of time? Are you happy with your health and fitness? Are you happy with the connection time you have with your family? When you get to the end of this, it will automatically give you a real wealth score. And you can see right there, most people, we've had, hundreds of people fill this out now. I think we're closing in on 1,000. I don't even know. I gotta have to go back and look at the numbers. But when people fill it out, we looked at our averages. And when people do it first, they usually come in around 50, in that 50 to 70 range for their real wealth score. The average is closer to 60. And then over time, when they come back and do this again, they've put some things in place, they set some goals, they've improved their financial status, their financial intelligence, things get better, their score starts to go up. So scores higher than 80 are definitely unusual in the beginning, but over time, that's our goal at Real Wealth, to have people take this and over time to get their scores over 80. We really want to help them. That's what this webinar is about. That's what us helping connect you with investments that are going to help you grow your wealth is all about. So scores over 90 are rare, but we do have a member who's been around for a long time, and he wrote us this really cool letter about that he had just filled this out, and he said, thanks to Real Wealth, and I'm now financially free, I'm retired, and I scored, I think it was 100. Yeah, I think it was 100 or 97 or something crazy. So I was super stoked. Our whole team was super stoked on that. So anyway, you might want to write that down, realwealth.com/assessment. If you haven't tried it, have filled it out to get your score. If you have done it already, then go ahead and do it again. Go back, do it again if it's been a little while, and see how your score has improved. Okay, cool. It's just another assessment for you to be able to track and measure, so you know if you're on track and you're moving in the right place. Okay, in the webinar description, you probably saw it said something that you're going to learn a simple 4-step process for determining your strengths, abilities, and your next steps. This is that very simple process. It's been around forever. If you are in business or you've had a business consultant, a lot of times you'll know that you will do a SWOT analysis on your business. But I also love to do it for my life. So a SWOT analysis stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So we're going to just take a little time to do this quick. I urge you to come back to this later. When I do a year completion with a client, when I used to do that, I mean, I still coach a couple clients, I have 3 max. So I just love to stay connected. I guess that's what they call it, a practice, right? I love to keep my coaching skills in practice and love to help people get better. So that's why I still coach a few people. But when I do this with a client, this year completion process, it's usually 90 minutes to 2 hours going through all this. So we have to move through it in an hour today, but I would urge you to come back and do this. And basically all you do, and this is for you personally, what are your strengths? List your greatest strengths, maybe 2 or 3 things that are your greatest strengths. And you just could write those down. Then you write down, what are my weaknesses? And you don't have to go to work on those weaknesses, but just being aware of them. It's like, what are my weaknesses? What am I not that great at? What do I not love doing? What is something that I haven't developed as a strength? But just to be aware of that, because then you can kind of, as the great book Who Not How says, you can find people to be your who's for those weaknesses, so you don't have to do it. But it's great to be aware of what are your weaknesses. And then from that, you say, what opportunities do I have moving forward into this next year and into the future? What are my opportunities to grow, to get better, to improve again, your health, your wealth, and your happiness? What opportunities do you have coming up this year, 2024? And then what are your threats? What do you need to be careful of? What do you have to watch out for? What are those threats that might have an impact on your wealth? Any threats there? What are the things you got to watch out for your health or your relationships? All those things on the life wheel, those 10 different areas. What are some possible threats you should be aware of and prepare ahead of time? What do they call that? Pre-mortem, right? You have to think about it ahead of time. What could go wrong? And that way, by knowing your potential obstacles and threats ahead of time, you can have a game plan for those. So that's the SWOT analysis. It's this simple 4-step process, but it's really cool. It's just a great conversational tool. I just led a program on leadership for YPO, Young Presidents Organization, and we went through SWOT with all of them. And it was just really cool because it creates conversation. It just really has you step back and look at this simple 4-step process that really helps you get clear on these different areas of what your greatest strengths are. Can you use them more? What are your weaknesses, and so on? Okay, so that is SWOT analysis. And now let's talk about completing your year. When you are wrapping up this year, what do you need to take care of to feel complete with this year? So often we have these incompletes, and this is like bookending. It's like, that's the cool thing about the 12 months in a year. You get to bookend the year. You get to have your intention and your theme, your big 3 goals. And sometimes to wrap up a year, you don't really feel complete until you go through this process. I don't, at least. So what is it that you need to do? What do you need to take care of in these final couple weeks of this year to feel more complete so you can start next year fresh? So got some examples there. Tax planning. Do you need to make those charitable donations? Do you need to prepay any expenses? A lot of financial stuff here. Do you have to review your portfolio and just really wrap it up and say, here's how I did with my portfolio this year? A lot of investors do that process. They usually get started in early December, so we're a little late to it, but still a review of your portfolio. What were your returns? How'd you do? Cleaning up any mess, any unfinished business, honest conversation with someone, and anything else. So by knowing these things and doing these things, just getting it listed down, I know you only have a couple weeks, but it can really make a difference, especially on the tax planning thing. Got to get that done now, right? Okay, so this is all wrapping up the year, completing it. And then what would you like to let go of as you move into 2024? So you can handle those incompletes, those things that need to be done, get that done. But is there something that you've been hanging on to? A disagreement with someone, someone's been pissing you off, something happened earlier in the year, there was a loss that you had, it just didn't work out the way you wanted. It was one of those challenges and obstacles that came up, those losses that we talked about earlier. So what is it that you would like to let go of, leave back in 2023 to be complete with that? Write that down. What would you like to let go of as you move into this next year? And a really powerful process for this is to there's different things you can do. You can just say, I'm done with this, I'm moving on, it's done. I'm not going to let this fester in me anymore. I'm not going to make it stress me out. I'm letting it go. And there's different things you can do. So you can just write it down on a piece of paper. You can burn it. Some people throw it into their fireplace. Some people tear the paper up. Some people just crinkle it up, whip it against the wall. I know one thing we do here sometimes is we'll go down to the beach and you write it in the sand, and then you let the waves come in and wash it away. And it's all about being intentional. So you're saying, okay, I'm letting this go now. And by doing that ritual, whatever it is, it allows you to just mentally let that go. And that way, if it comes up again in 2024, you can go, oh no, I let that go already. And it's something happens, you just have this shift inside. You're like, oh, I did let that go. And it's very freeing. So, and just trust me on that one. It works really powerful. Maybe you've already done this, and so you know, so preaching to the choir. But please do that one. And then finally, is there anything else you need to feel complete with 2023? Is there anything else where you can just feel like, okay, I gotta handle this. I need to say this to someone. I need to acknowledge this person. I need to get this handled. So just want you to kind of dig down deep in your brain there and think about, is there anything else that you need to do to feel complete with this year? And go ahead and write that down. So you're going to have some actions to take after this webinar, but they're all actions that are good for you. Okay, now on to kind of a different focus, talking about your team and building this out and the importance of it. So if you look back and you think about those people that helped you in your support, I talked about our tax attorney that helped Kathy and me this past year. It's about putting your team together. So as you think about 2024 and your intentions, your goals, your life wheel, really about what you want to go to work on, what you might be focusing on, I just want you to give thought to what your team might look like. So having a professional coach is super powerful. I've had my own coach since 1996 when I started coaching. Not the same coach, but I've had different coaches over the years. Now I have a coach that I speak to once a month. We do an hour session once a month, and it's just for me to really look at how am I living, how am I showing up, what's working, what's not working, almost doing kind of this year completion and intention thing once a month to help me get clear on what really matters to me. That's just me. Your investment counselor at RealWealth is great. You might have another financial advisor be part of your team. So this is about assembling a team, your who's that are going to help you go to the next level. Maybe it's getting a bookkeeper set up on your team. That's a game changer for people. Having a virtual assistant can be super helpful. Kathy and I use, this whole list we have is our team, and it goes beyond that. Of course, our team at RealWealth, all of our employees and all that, just amazing that just no way we could do what we do without them. So there's just a few examples. So just giving thought to that, your team, who might you add to your team before the end of the year or starting the next year so you can really thrive. On here, I've got bookkeeper and virtual assistant. We work with a company called Belay. Kathy and I have been using them for years. They helped us find our executive assistants over the years. Tanya, who's our executive assistant, has been amazing. She came from Belay. We've hired 3 bookkeepers from Belay, one to help us at RealWealth, one to help us with our own personal portfolio of real estate. We have Sam, he's amazing, keeps things all on track. He creates our monthly net worth statement, cash flow statements, a whole breakdown of all our properties and how they're doing. So anyway, if you're interested in that, a bookkeeper or an executive assistant, you can reach out to Lucy Faxon. They're amazing over at Belay, and I'll let you reach out to them. You can go to belaysolutions.com if you want to learn more about them, or you can reach out to Lucy directly. If you do decide to hire a bookkeeper or an EA through Belay, make sure you reach out to Lucy, because she hooks our members up at RealWealth with $700 off your kickoff. So they have someone who interviews you, find out what are you looking for, what your have you worked with an executive assistant or a bookkeeper before? What worked, what didn't? Very specifically about what you need, and then they choose someone. Everyone who applies to work at Belay, they only hire 1% of the people who apply there, so they're very rigorous in their testing. So anyway, you can reach out to them if you're looking for a bookkeeper or an executive assistant. And then moving ahead, I just love this one from Buddha. What you are is what you have been. It's pretty awesome. And what you'll be is what you do now. So what you are is awesome, because it's what you become, what you've learned, how you've grown and everything, and what you'll be is what you do now. So for 2024, we will definitely be looking at those big goals, setting your big intentions for the year, setting your theme. Again, that is January 4th. You'll find more about it. I'm sure you'll get an email letting you know that's coming up, but would love to see you at that webinar, attending that. And then if you also, so that'll be really powerful. And then if you want to go to the next level, we have our 2024 goal setting retreat coming up. We've been doing several retreats here at our home in Malibu, Kathy and I, and it's just awesome. It's so powerful. If you want more information on that, you just go to malibumastermind.com. What we do at the goal setting retreat, you clarify your future vision. We go really deep. We go through some powerful exercise about setting your intention for the future. You're going to come out, you're going to create a clear plan and goals coming out of there. You're going to discuss investing and wealth building with the people in the room and us. You're going to connect with like-minded, successful people who can help you get to where you want to be. You'll get that support, accountability. Of course, we have amazing caterer who comes in and creates this gourmet organic food. We'll do fun outdoor activities and hikes and games, and hike in the mountains here in Malibu and check out the ocean and just all that good stuff. And we limit it to 14 people. So we like to keep it small and intimate. This is kind of what it looks like. We keep it close, and then we do follow-up calls throughout the year to see how you're doing when everyone joins on. We just did one last week with everyone, and it's just so cool to see what people accomplish when they set a clear intention. So anyway, if you're interested, malibumastermind.com. And going forward, just a reminder, as Leonardo da Vinci said, learning never exhausts the mind. So remember, at realwealth.com, we have all these amazing resources that are free. We've always not charged for our education, our webinars. We've produced over 1,000 free webinars now, educational webinars, and there's just tons of stuff there. Just a reminder. I also like to share, just started doing this, sharing some of the books that really made a difference in my life in this past year. So you may have read some of these. 10X is easier than 2X. If you're a business owner, you want to grow things, even your whole life, it's a really great approach. I'm usually resistant to the 10X thing because it's so about just trying to blow things up and grow really fast. But 10X is easier than 2X. It's a whole different approach to that, about achieving more by actually doing less. If you're a real estate investor, which you probably are, Real Estate by the Numbers, fantastic book that I read this past year, Jay Scott and Dave Meyer from Bigger Pockets, awesome. Arnold's book is great. It just became a #1 New York Times bestseller, Be Useful. Arnold was a big inspiration to me growing up as a weightlifter and bodybuilder and owning a gym, obviously. Really a great guy. I've met him several times. He's really cool. But his book is excellent. Arete is all about activating your heroic potential. Arete meaning creating a flourishing life. by Brian Johnson. I've been following Brian Johnson since 2007. He created Philosopher's Notes and now a whole new social platform that's for growth and getting better. This is an amazing, big, thick book called Arete. And then if you're interested in health, fitness, longevity, Outlive by Peter Attia is also a #1 New York Times bestseller. Amazing, very thick book, but a very great book. So I just wanted to share, those are some of the big ones for me. I usually read at least a dozen books a year, probably more like 2 dozen when I really look at it. I'm a big audiobook guy, so a lot of these I do on audio, and then when I really love them, I will grab the hardcover and come back in and dog ear it and highlight it. Reminder, of course, you're probably familiar with the Real Wealth Show. If this is free stuff, Real Estate News for Investors by Kathy is a few times a week, comes out with the most important news on real estate for you, an investor. And then the Real Wealth Show, which Kathy's been doing ever since the beginning for many, many years. It was one of the first, it was the second real estate podcast on Apple ever. So the second real estate podcast, interviewing amazing people and getting their insights. And then Kathy's book, Retire Rich with Rentals. She just redid the whole thing, updated it last year. And so that's a great one. It's also on Audible as well. Fantastic book. And then final shout out for this book, The Wise Investor. You're probably familiar. This is the book that I came out with last year. It's done incredibly well. The feedback has been awesome. Thank you so much, everyone who's read it, who's left reviews for it, both on Audible and on Amazon. And just a reminder that it makes a pretty awesome gift because it's a fable, it's a story, it's a parable. So it's an easy read that carries over this financial freedom information and improving your financial intelligence, and also just everything we're sharing here. It's all about living your best life, but I created it in a story form. So if you're thinking about some last minute awesome gifts to give out to people you care about, Wise Investor is an awesome one. So there's my little shameless plug. All right, everyone, I hope to see you for part 2. Again, that's January 4th at noon Pacific time. It's all about creating your 2024 and beyond. So we're going to look at your long-term vision, and then we're going to bring it back to 2024. You're going to set some powerful intentions. You're going to take a look at the personal quality that you want to develop, what new rituals and habits you're going to put in place. We're going to go deep, and you're going to walk away with a really clear game plan for your 2024 and beyond. So till then, wish you the best. Happy holidays. Look forward to seeing you next year. Thanks for being here. See ya.